Right now we are.
Now we're live? God, I always jump to start. Neil. Manu, come on over.
Okay.
Neil, we got Manu back.
He's in the house.
First district, number 1 district.
District number 1.
How many years are you into this?
Almost 3 full years.
3 years. We're going to find out how awesome those 3 years have been.
We've got an election coming up next year.
Yeah, March 5th.
March, and they moved it back from June to March, right?
We do it in March in California to have more influence on the presidential election. So in the presidential years, we do it in March.
See?
You know, other off years we do
know
it.
that
Neil, good homework on that. A little research. What were you Googling today?
Oh, you know Laura Lee Martin? You know Laura
Oh,
Lee?
yeah, of course.
Yeah, she gave me a bunch of information. Not for tonight, but...
Just got you up to speed on what's happening in government
yeah, I thought my phone said election day was like a couple days ago.
in Ohio.
Yeah, it was one election, right? Something like garbage collector or something.
Scotts Valley voted on a couple of things.
Really?
Scotts Valley Librarian.
You got the app?
Scotts Valley Librarian.
Dude, you're so civic. I love it. I tell you. Did you panic? You thought you had to vote?
Yeah, I thought, what the hell? I called Laura Lee. I go, Laura Lee, do we have an election coming up like in 3 days?
You know what?
We haven't interviewed anybody.
I feel like that should that just not be an app that everybody gets? Should you ping on election day, go vote? It seems like that'd be amazing.
It's true. I mean, I think there's probably enough groups that are going to reach out to you one way or another, right? I mean,
More than ever.
I think
Yeah.
Show number 886. Can we back up a little bit? What did you say earlier?
Like the trail and the rail. Like, vote yes for no.
No, don't get me going on that.
Yes.
I thought we wouldn't get too deep into
But,
that.
hey, nothing's off limits.
Okay, yeah.
No holds barred.
There's people watching right now. They're like, TC, get him.
Most importantly, Manu is a brand new father.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, well, 6 months in, it's fantastic.
Charlotte, otherwise known as Charlie.
Correct, yeah.
And middle name?
Rita and Taya. So my grandmother's name and my wife's grandmother's name.
Love that. Yeah, that's amazing. Well, they'll forever talk about their middle name as being their grandmother's middle name.
Yeah, and they were both wild women, so we're expecting
Hold everything.
nothing less.
Has that trickled down? Is your wife wild?
We're like, the more conservative generation. It kind of goes.
You
skips,
better
right?
hope. You got a daughter. You better be like, hey,
right.
listen, honey, your grandma's kind of wild.
Right. So your chance to do things right. Be right by the name.
I told him a daughter story earlier. We're not going to repeat it.
Yep.
Yeah, but I just wanted to
go here.
Well, I have daughters, so I gave him the scariest daughter story ever.
Yeah,
he's
the 12 and over.
He's prepared. He's prepared now.
Yeah.
We got to back up. We're show 886? 66?
Yeah.
You checked.
Yeah, I've been updating the website because people are yelling at me going.
Well, I feel like it's important because we are a weekly show.
Yeah.
But welcome back, everybody. Tyler Fox is probably watching, and thank you, T. Fox, having us on board.
People are watching.
Awesome. That's great.
I want to find out what's going to the first. What changed for you the day you went back to work after your daughter was born? What was the one thing the thing that changed? Like,
Well, I mean, the biggest thing is that all of a sudden you're no longer the most important person in your life.
right?
And it's fantastic. It's like such a relief, I didn't count on that at all. I wasn't expecting it. And you completely refocused on somebody else's needs rather than your own.
And if you have a bad day, you get to go home to
Oh, yeah. Cutest smile in the world.
right.
Well, now, the thing is, too, is like you think, like, I can't die now.
Right. Yeah.
Right? It's like,
You got to stick around.
I got to stick around.
Yeah.
You
Don't
got
long enough.
to work out, keep track of the calories,
Healthy,
it's like,
Healthy.
check your cholesterol.
No skateboarding. No bike. Nothing.
Drive safe.
Right. Say.
No rolling stops.
Has your wife given you that talk yet? Like, listen.
Oh, yeah.
You got to slow down.
Every time they're in the back seat, I pull out a little too fast, like, honey.
Have you had a ticket since you've been supervisor? Have you had a ticket?
Oh, no, of course
No.
not. No.
If you did get a ticket, you think would you flash something like a?
No, I mean, I take it like any other person. I mean, I don't want any special privileges.
They got cameras on now, and it's
Yeah.
public knowledge.
Yeah.
Do you imagine if they got that?
I
He's like, you know who I am? Like, that would not go over good. You can't do that anymore. There was some sheriff in Florida, she tried to do that. It went viral. It's like, embarrassing. Yeah, no. But do you have a baby on board sticker yet?
No, I need one of those. You got one
It's like the funny things you think about.
He's taking the Santa Cruz boardroom license plate frame off to
Baby on board.
Baby on board. Number one dad in the world.
I know my wife, when we had kids, it was like, and it has never stopped, and it will never stop. Brake lights. Like when I'm driving, like, brake lights, red light, yellow light. Like, ah! I'm always like, we're gonna die because someone rear-ended me because I slammed on the brakes when there wasn't brake lights.
Right.
What's our questions from Manu? Are we getting deep in? We're gonna kind of get
No.
deep.
We're gonna
I can ask you a question. I can ask you a question.
Okay.
jump in.
Why are we digging up every street in fucking town?
At the same time.
At the same
I'm
driving
time.
Road closed by Twin Lakes Church.
Yeah. Oh.
God help me.
Okay, listen. Anybody watching, the one that gets me, I think they're building a subway on Portola.
Why are they?
Because it's been closed for like 3 weeks.
It's going to get worse, too. No, seriously, the one thing you really want for Christmas is an e-scooter or an e-bike. Believe me, get them now before they sell out. But the answer to your question, Neil, is all the money arrived at the same time.
You couldn't
And
hold
we
off
had to spend it.
one at a time.
Sorry, all of them, they're like grants. They're like, you spend this in 3 years or you give it back. Right? And so we had to get started.
I used to live in a nice little quaint village. Santa Cruz, California. Drive downtown.
Where?
We go HMS.
Are you talking about the subway?
HMS Goliath in the middle of the... No.
Oh,
that
down
big
at
the giant
Front
cranes.
Street.
that giant crane, that 9-story building with... I don't know how they get it. I don't know.
Well, we're going to back up just a little bit. So I understand what you're saying. Because if you don't spend the money, you can't get more, right? Isn't that generally how it works? You have to use it if it's available.
Or we have to give back.
Use it or
what we've
lose
got.
it.
Right.
So I get that. It just kind of sucks because I was wondering what's going on down there.
And the biggest question that people... I put that Facebook post up. You have a comment, leave it. And most people wrote in, we want to talk about 38th Avenue.
Oh, really?
You know what?
Yeah.
I read that
Which
too.
is-
It was really interesting.
Yeah, people coming about 38th Avenue is going to become a freeway because 41st Avenue is going to be jam-packed. They're going to be building this... What are you guys building over here?
Where?
What do you mean?
Which project?
Your project's being built.
Oh no, that's only I think 33 new homes. It's not a big deal.
Right.
But we're talking about Capitola Mall, and I think that's people who live on 38th Avenue are very concerned because they have some of the worst sidewalks situations, and people do haul ass. Even though there's possibility of speed bumps, but 38th.
The project you were thinking of is the one right by the tracks there that Mid-Penn's working on.
Exactly.
It's like 40 to 50 units.
Right.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. 38th, it's pretty high on my list of priorities, too, just because it is a road that goes right from the Capitola Mall all the way to East Cliff, to the beach, right? And it should definitely be a street where we prioritize bikes and pedestrians. The challenge with it is just narrow right-of-way, so we don't even have space for bike lanes on there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's why you got the Sharrows. I mean, believe me, I would love to put bike lanes on there, but
It's almost a no parking street. Then you have the residents who are asking for safety.
Honestly,
right?
that was the only solution we could do is take away the parking, and then you can fit the bike lane in.
The only place you can park is by Bromer. Or
and
down
then,
here.
exactly, and then lower down by Portola, you don't have anything.
And interesting fact about the project going in Capitola Mall, as we're talking about 38th Avenue, for those who don't live here, it's a street just 2 blocks away. It goes through the mall and jumps into Claire's and becomes a shortcut.
Yeah, you're talking about in the redesign.
In the redesign of the mall. So what these people are concerned about now, I would be sad to have to inform them. It could get worse.
Yeah, I mean, or we'd end up just making it a bike and pedestrian street, or we could. There's some rules that allow us to slow speeds like an extra 5 miles an hour. So maybe we just kind of go all in on trying to reduce some speed there, like you said, with speed bumps, with other things, so people are like not going to commute on that street.
Over in JC Park, we have a 3 to 5 no local traffic only. And sometimes that works as well. But I get it. We'll shift but that was funny because I saw that, Neil. Yeah. We asked people that follow us on social media to have any questions. That was number 1.
And there's no room for bike lane, right? There's no room for...
Lower down by Portola, the right-of-way is just too narrow.
Okay, yeah.
Interesting. I want to get up to speed on, again, I'll say this, but I'm sure you hate talking about the train tracks constantly, the corridor. But I do want to bring it up because it's information I find, because I live on the tracks. People don't really know what's going on, whether they can have time to do the research or not. But I did see recently some sandwich signs posted along the corridor saying we're asking for a permission to change something.
So what you saw is notice of the environmental impact report, the draft being ready, and that's on the segments that go from 17th Avenue all the way to State Park Drive in Aptos. It's probably one of the largest stretches of the project. Goes of course, right by here, across 41st.
Couple, 2 miles, 3 miles. Do we know what that is?
No, it's more like 5.
Is it
plus.
5 miles?
Yeah, 5 or 6. Yeah,
Wow.
in that neighborhood. So it's just saying, okay, the draft environmental impact report is there. Take a look at it, and this outlines, how many trees would need to come down, where exactly the trail would be. What we'd have to actually move the tracks in a lot of places, rip up the old ones, and put them back down in a new spot. No matter what.
And is that because the tracks are going right down the middle?
Right, and you can't fit the trail along one side given the right-of-way constraint. So you have to move the tracks no matter what.
And we're going to move the existing tracks.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we have to, I know you have to pull them up. I don't know if you just put down the same steel or we end up buying more new steel. I mean, probably we just buy the new steel because, they're at like less than 10% of the useful life, the current ones. We might want to wait until the passenger rail study's done and we see if we're actually going to move forward with that soon, or if we would go with a narrower gauge train before we invest in that, because steel's not cheap.
What you just said is there a chance the report that you're describing would say don't do a train?
Well, it would just so there's the report on the trail section. That's what you see the same
right,
report,
exactly.
Right.
But long term,
and that study, I should say, it looks at both the trail next to the tracks and the trail right in the middle of the tracks, or on the tracks. It environmentally clears both, so that we have options. And then we're also right now doing the train study, the passenger train study, and it's going to come back and really define the project in a lot more detail. So it's going to say, okay, here's exactly what we would need along the Manresa Cliffs as far as some kind of support. Here's what we need to get over the sloughs in Watsonville, Harkins, and Gallagher, and like where the stations would go, right? Because that hasn't been defined either. And then also when you're doing that, it'll tell you, well, here's truly what kind of service we could deliver, like every 30 minutes, every 15 minutes, maybe every hour, right? Because people will say yeah, we're going to get that train running every 15 minutes. But the reality is you need enough sidings, right? Places where one train going south can pull off so the train coming north can go through, right? It's a one-way track.
Right. And so an hour each way? Well, how long does it take?
I haven't seen the time. We'll have some updated timetables.
Right. Okay, got it.
So what this study will tell you is new cost estimates. We'll get feedback from the Coastal Commission around the structures there. And it'll just kind of lay it out in plain detail, right? And then at that point, the community can make a choice what to do. For example, do we want to fund that plan? So let's put a half-cent sales tax on the ballot, vote it. If we want to fund it, great, we can build it. If we don't at the moment, okay, we'll hold off.
We'll wait. But what has been done is the reserving the corridor for that decision.
Right. We're basically, we're absolutely leaving that decision open.
Got it.
So I grew up with trains.
Yeah.
Trains in England that infrastructure is laid in right after the Second World War, and the tracks are there. So I used to catch the Brighton to Victoria Station, London train. One way going that way, there's tracks going this way, and tracks going this way. You go both ways.
Yeah.
We don't have that here. We've got one track, so you got people going this way. How are they getting back the other way?
Well, maybe a pull.
That's what I'm saying. The pull-offs, they're sidings. Yeah. So basically, the more pull-offs we can put in, the more frequent you can have trains running.
Okay.
Right.
So where are you going to put where the pull-offs
Well,
going?
that's what this next study is going to say.
All right.
I think we've only identified a few right now, and that limits us to a train every 30 minutes in both directions. If we could identify more pull-offs, more sidings, then we could run them more frequently.
Okay.
But really, for transit to be effective, you want it to come every 15 minutes or less.
Right.
And that's what we're doing with the buses right now. So
and the buses have to align with the trains because there needs to be once you get to that last station, there has to be an end game.
Yeah. When you think about transit as a viable alternative for getting around, you have to look at the whole thing. How long does it take you to walk to get to the station? How long does it take to wait to get to till the next train or bus comes? Then if you're transferring, how long do you wait in between? And you look at that total trip length. And that has to be reasonable for people or comparable to other modes.
Otherwise,
it's going to take Right. So what we're doing right now is going all in on the Metro bus because that's a solution we can deliver here in the next year.
I love that idea.
Right.
I've seen the new buses.
Yeah.
Those buses are beautiful.
I got a bus question. So the stuff we're doing on the freeway, right now, up here by Capitola and by Chanticleer, and that right? Is that for Is that just a new bus lane?
It's a new auxiliary lane, and there'll be sections of it that are going to be bus only. But So an auxiliary lane is like what you've got right now between the Fish Hook and Morrissey, and then between like Morrissey and SoCal Drive. It's where like you can come in on one entrance and stay in that lane all the way to the next exit, right? You never have to merge. And so we're putting those in right now between SoCal and 41st exit, which is great because, you know, people use our highway like a local street, right? I mean, there's only basically 3 ways all the way across town, right?
That's going to help
yeah.
so much.
Yeah.
Because the bottleneck's at 41st.
Yeah.
It is SoCal. But that extra.
Right.
So, Neil, what happens is if you got on the highway, it's like
Right.
getting on at 41st going
Yeah.
southbound and getting immediately off at Bay.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
That's what they're doing.
You don't have to.
You don't
merge
have
if
to
you
get
don't
on.
want.
So that's a bit of a shortcut.
Right.
So it's going to happen. It's going to make shortcuts,
Exactly.
which will get those
Okay.
guys off of the 2-lane highway.
And also, if someone is exiting at 41st, they'll be able to get over sooner and let the through traffic.
Right. And the bus can jump in there too.
So the bus will be able to use that auxiliary lane, but then when the bus gets to the exit, rather than having to exit, it will have its own little bus-only lane till the next entrance.
And,
So
motorcycles?
It gets a little boost. Yeah, we're going to need a little extra enforcement there.
All you dudes who ride motorcycles, you don't have to split lanes. You can just hang out on the shoulder.
Yeah,
now.
watch out. There'll be a bus in there. And they have got some blind spots. But so that sounds like trivial, like, okay, whatever, it's short. But actually, if you look at some spots, and particularly further south, like when we get all the way to Freedom Boulevard and stuff, like there's some of those are like 1,500 feet long.
For
so
sure.
the bus, we calculate by the time we're finished with all these auxiliary lane, bus on shoulder lane project on the highway, the bus will get like a 4-minute boost, basically, over now. And then, of course, as we build that auxiliary lane, we're also building a shoulder.
Right.
And so typically you hear bus on shoulder, you think, okay, the bus is running in the shoulder.
Where a car broken down would be parked, but not. There'll
Right.
still be room for a broken down car.
There'll still be room for a broken down car. I mean, but then we could look to actually let the bus use the shoulder. Caltrans doesn't love it because we do need space for the broken down cars, for CHP to have a little talk with you. But we could look at extending the project, the bus on shoulder project, to be sort of a true bus on shoulder, and then it would have like a dedicated transit facility there, as long as someone is not broken down.
It's interesting because Neil's response. I have friends who, because we do this show, they think I know what's going on. Right?
Well, that's great.
Yeah, which is cool.
That's kind of how most of my job is too. Like, you know, right?
Yeah. But nobody knows what they're doing out there. Even though I know it's been on a million websites and we've had meetings and Zooms forever. Most of the normal people around Santa Cruz don't know what's going on.
I think the
out
simplest way to explain it is like what we did between Morrissey and SoCal. We're basically trying to push that infrastructure all the way down to Freedom Boulevard. I mean, as you said, the bottleneck happens right now at SoCal, right? We'll do this project, the bottleneck will go to 41st.
Well, Freedom's
And then, as you were saying right now, right, we just cleared the trees. We're starting construction on the next phase from 41st all the way to State Park, right? We've got that money in the bank. That project, I mean, it's starting. And then we're just trying to get the funding for State Park to Freedom. And at that point, of course, after Freedom going south, it opens up
'cause
into
Freedom's-
three lanes.
Freedom's
You're
path.
kind of through.
Well, I feel like I just have to be honest. What we're doing on the rail corridor, I think most people will think what's going on the highway is really going to make a difference. Whether people are riding bikes or whether there's 45 people and 2 trains going back and forth, it doesn't matter. What's going on the highway right now, what we're witnessing, is going to make people's lives better.
It's our core transportation corridor.
For sure.
100,000 cars in both directions every day. I mean, that is absolutely where most of us spend our time.
As long as we have electric cars and solar power on our housing, we're going to have people driving vehicles.
Right.
I've got a quiz for you. Email from Trail Now.
Okay. Yeah. I know that guy.
The rail trail is a big
Brian,
part of
what's up?
Super Koenig's agenda. Let's hear how we can get the trail built from Watsonville to Davenport in a timely, cost-effective, and eco-friendly manner. Neil, I got a book. Some recent background information for you. At a recent Santa Cruz County Regional Transport Commission meeting, 4 main points were made by the commission. Do you know what the 4 points were made?
I don't know if I can enumerate them, but I think I can remember sort of the big
Okay.
point there.
Well,
You really want to get into this, huh?
I don't.
I thought we weren't going to go deep, Neil.
we can.
Okay.
Hey, he can say, you know what? I'm out of here. I'm going to go see Charlotte. You know what?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the big question that was brought up was like, can we act like? it was around rail banking, right?
Right.
I mean, this was sort of the big dirty word during Measure D in 2022, and there was a lot of confusion about it.
Yeah. Related to rail banking and building the optimal interim coastal trail rather than the elevated platform trail tracks next to the tracks.
Right. Okay, how can I give the most concise answer on this? So as I said, we're doing the planning work for the trail now, and we are planning both alternatives, right? I mean, we know that people generally would like to see a train if possible, but we're also planning the backup trail, which honestly is half the cost, cuts down a quarter of the trees, and it's a lot easier to build if you just build it in the middle of the tracks, right? You can use the Capitola trestle, et cetera, et cetera. So we're reserving that option because all kinds of problems are already starting to pop up, right? I mean, we thought that these next segments of the trail were fully funded because the state gave us a heap of money, $106 million. So like, all right, go build it. And we're like, thanks so much. We're going to. And they were like, oh, wait, but we didn't count on the cost of moving the tracks or removing these thousands of trees. And, oh, wait, the engineering is going to come back and it's going to be 150% of what we thought. And so it's very possible that there's a lot of challenges ahead. I mean, building new bike and pedestrian bridges in Aptos Village, particularly like over Aptos Creek and Valencia Creek, that's like a $60 million project right there.
Right.
So that money is coming off of future highway projects. We could spend that in other ways. So, those are the trade-offs that our community is going to have to decide on in the future.
I like the idea of being based on community, having the ultimate say in it. But wasn't there some money from the state we may have to give back if we don't do rail?
No, the state did give us money to buy the tracks to do passenger rail, right? It kind of generally said that. But we've basically at this point fulfilled our obligations to do our best effort to build passenger rail. We did a passenger rail business plan, we called it. If it's financially infeasible or, whatever, that we don't pass the local sales tax and need to build the thing, like the state's not going to come yank it back. They'll say, okay, you tried.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I would just like to say to anyone watching, anyone who has a thought and interest in this project, to my one point is, imagine how many more electric bikes there are since we started this project.
Well, see, that is exactly the thing that I hear more and more now than like when we first started talking about this. I mean, it's like, what are you going to do about the e-bikes?
Well, we're going to put them on a trail.
Yeah,
and there's going to be thousands of them.
And the question is that trail going to be 8 feet wide or 16 feet wide with shoulders, right?
Yeah. I mean, but that's my theory on it. Is I can't believe, and I had this theory. Why isn't there an electric bike a wheelchair goes on? The sky's the limit for this. It's like. To me, the future's unlimited. It's pretty wild.
There's some. I mean, I love the e-trikes, right? People are like, well, seniors can't ride e-bikes. Well, first of all, they're actually like the early adopters, right? Because they can get up hills easily. And then, these e-trikes are awesome. They have like a big basket. They're totally stable. Doesn't matter if you've got Parkinson's or something like that. Like.
In Pleasure Point, I see 3 teenagers on those things all the time.
Without helmets doing 40.
They actually, some of them do. Some of the helmets are on the handlebar, but at least some of them do. But it's growing at this rate, and they're not going away.
I ride my bike downtown. I rode my bike downtown Monday because it was quicker.
Right.
I parked the car at yoga.
Right. Well, I do think,
and then ran downtown, came back.
I do think since the project started, I think about this a lot. Since we decided on what we should do with our rail corridor, I feel the explosion of electric bicycles and small things that are electric has blown up to where it's actually transportation now that needs to be invested in. Right. Yeah, right. For the future. Yeah. And I feel like some of the trains are romantic, and it's like everybody had a train in their youth, and it tugs at your heart that we're taking the tracks out. But the future and the reality to me is that small electric vehicles are the future. And we'll recycle the batteries. We'll figure that out. We can recycle anything, We'll recycle the batteries, and we'll figure that out. We'll have solar on every building because we're going to get discounts to do it. Are you on the same boat? Is that what you think about?
I agree with you, TC.
Okay.
But, I'm going to give the community the opportunity to... I mean, ultimately, the community have to decide if we want to build that train or not.
What's that going to
get the best information possible.
I agree.
And if people want to do it, fine, we'll do it.
Yeah. No,
I agree. Just trying to be clear about the facts as well, right? I mean, and this is in the environmental impact report on segments 10 and 11 that we were talking about, sandwich boards and all. There are sections in that trail that are 8 feet wide with a fence on either side. Like
That's me.
And
Behind my house is skinny.
Yeah, that's skinny, right? So do you really want to be riding on that or walking on that, like with your dog when then like 3 e-bikes come by?
Well, that's again, I think people would want to get the e-bikes off the sidewalk. So
Well, that's the question. We're building a trail. Is that a sidewalk?
Well, I'm just
or
saying,
a bike path, right?
On West Cliff and other places, there's
yeah,
bike
fair
and
enough.
pedestrian walking, so you could do that. But I just have that dream.
Mm-hmm.
I live on the train tracks, so I do have an interest in this, folks. And but I will give up having tents behind my house.
Right. Yeah.
Because
whatever we do there will be some positive use,
right?
More eyes, easier access.
If it's
to
a
the
train,
sheriff.
I don't think there'll be a tent behind my house.
Right.
If it's a bike path, there'll be a tent behind my house. But I think, as a person who lives on the track, I would have a tent and have a safe way for kids and families to go up and down that corridor if people think that's safe.
Yeah.
But to be able to go to school and the grocery store and keep a car off the road.
For sure. But the sheriff's office was telling me just last night at a community meeting that this trail, one way or another, is going to give them better access. Because right now they can only walk the rail corridor, and our friend in the tent is going to see the deputy coming from like 300 feet away, and they got a head start.
And right? I would hope that. And I do live in a Capitola section of it. They have motorcycles. Right. They go up and down on their motorcycles all the time. Currently, there's no one sleeping behind my house. But in the future, who knows? Because shopping carts and stuff go down bike paths better than train tracks.
Right. Comment from Bryn. Manu, please clean up the west side. Multiple RVs and other vehicles live along Delaware. No camping areas, littering waste.
Ah, they're leaving.
Oh,
they're moving to the east side.
The unhoused population is another.
Well, I hear you. The west side, you're going to have to reach out to Mayor Keeley on that one. My district is not there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any direct control over the Santa Cruz PD or ordinances within the city of Santa Cruz. So most of my jurisdiction is in Live Oak, including the Pleasure Point area, SoCal.
Well, they just
Fred Keeley, who's coming on. Fred Keeley, who's coming on the show December 18th.
We'll talk to Fred Keeley about it, and we're going to hand that grenade off to him because I can't wait to bust his ass because they just passed the no camping.
Right. Yeah.
And so where are the RVs coming? They're coming over here.
Hey, we deal with the issue too.
For sure, absolutely.
I'm on the phone with the deputies all the time. Hey, can we get out here and enforce the law around like no RVs on the street?
Right. Do we have anything? Are you involved in that with a future potential sites for? Because we have to face it, this is not going away. We're going to have RVs everywhere.
Yeah, no, I agree. We totally should build better RV camping sites, right? Mm-hmm. Right now the county does have an RV ordinance that says you can't park an RV in front of your house for more than 24 hours, even if you own it, right? The idea is you just should be able to load it up. If you got a guest coming into town, they have to get a permit, and then they can be on the street for 72 hours, but that's the limit. So really that 72 hours is pretty hard line, and any longer than that, and you're going to get some tickets, and eventually you're going to get towed.
It's for the county. So anyone who's unincorporated Santa Cruz, so keep that in mind, folks. If somebody rolls out in front and sets up camp, 72, you could tell them, hey, it's 72 hours. Sayonara.
Yeah,
Or they have to move 6 feet?
No. RVs are not. I think even as far as like overnight. The only way you're allowed to be, first of all, they have to have a permit to be 72 hours. Mm-hmm. If they don't, forget it.
Right.
And the 24-hour, that's only if it's like parked in front of your own home. Mm-hmm. So, you can tell them to get lost pretty much right away, or call the non-emergency line at the sheriff's office. They call the Live Oak Community Policing Unit. That's the best because those guys don't have to respond to emergencies. They have like a little more time to deal with things and follow up like the next day with this camper. Or you can reach out to me. And I'll work with the sheriff to deal with it.
Yeah. Reach out. How to get a hold of you? Manu Koenig?
Well, the best way is probably first.district@santacruzcounty.us. That is my office email address. And so I've got a few analysts that monitor that as well as myself. But that way it's going to the most people in my office.
How is your office? Are you enjoying it?
It's nice. It's nice.
Yeah? You love it?
Some days, yeah.
Do you ever worry about an earthquake in that place? Have you ever thought
They
about
made
it?
it through 89 all right.
But
there's a
is
few
there a
cracks.
crack or two?
Yeah,
I'm just
They
saying.
put some bubble gum on it. I think it's okay. We had an earthquake there, I don't know, like a few months ago or something.
I'm remodeling my kitchen. I went down to get a permit. I went up to the 4th floor. I looked at it. I was like, holy crap, I'm going to get that heck out of here. Question.
Yeah.
Has there been any talks? I've had a friend who asked me about this. State parks and a cement ship rebuilding or anything. Has that ever come up with a new?
That's in like the next district over, right? That's District 2. So I haven't been super involved. Not super involved, but I don't think
it's not right.
I don't think anything's coming back.
Ever.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Election next year. You have Lonnie Turner, right, Lonnie?
Lonnie Faulkner's my opponent. Yeah.
Faulkner. Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Haven't heard anyone else announce.
No. They get to like mid-December too.
I want to say it's December 5th or 7th. It's basically.
Is it campaign time already?
Yeah, it is.
Oh boy, yeah.
Yeah, you're deep into it.
You want some buttons?
Yeah,
we're kind of like in the prep phase right now because, as we were saying, this election is March 5th. But guess what? Now everyone does mail-in ballots, right? We basically send everyone a ballot in our county. So that means those go out like February 5th.
Wow.
And of course, we're all going to the holidays here, and we won't know what's going on until January 5th. Mm-hmm. And so then there's like kind of this. I mean, signs are going to go up soon here at the beginning of December. You'll be aware that something's about to happen in an election.
What's number one? Yeah,
you have a slogan this year?
I was going to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been toying with promises made, promises kept, but
Charles going to be the.
Oh yeah, I mean of course.
For sure. Family man. Got a soft spot right there, bro. Every time. A baby.
It
you
gives
see how
you
cute
a
she is?
whole understanding of the world. I mean, seriously.
She might get more votes than you. But so, is there a platform that I know promises kept, but what's the biggest? What do you think will be the biggest thing that you're going to be people talking about you?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it does come back to public safety a lot. I mean, we've already heard it on this show, right? It's like, how do you make my street safer, right? Or how do you make my neighborhood safer in terms of getting rid of the campers or the RVs, etc. That's what comes up consistently. And then of course for our rural areas, it's like fix the freaking road, because that is the biggest safety concern for me. If I can't get out of my house, or if the power lines come down, like what am I supposed to do? I mean, people were stuck up there without power for like 40 days.
I have 3 vehicles. They all have brand new mud and snow tires on them. Why? Because I live in unincorporated Santa Cruz. And so that's just how it is.
Over there.
And you know what? People who live in trucky drive 4-wheel drives. Like, it's just a part of life. Mm-hmm. If you want to live in those rural areas, hey, put some E-rated tires on that car so you can go through the potholes. Besides that, as far as this transportation thing goes, what do you see as being your focus? Is it because we have a few of them things? We have a highway project, we have a rail project, we have the safety project.
Yeah.
You're hearing it, the safety project, but for Manu, what is the project? What's the biggest focus?
I mean, housing always comes back to housing for me, because that's just so key to maintaining our dynamic community. Mm-hmm. I mean, like Santa Cruz is a cool place. Like here we are in the boardroom, right? I mean, this is a testament to it. And if we're going to maintain that, well, like, geez, we better have places for young people to live and creative minds to live, and we're losing it right now. I mean, Santa Cruz is literally the fastest aging county in all of California.
Yeah. I raised my kids 2 blocks away. Yeah. It's all a bunch of retirees now. There's I rarely see kids in the neighborhood now. It's really weird.
And I love old people. I mean,
there's nothing wrong with old people.
I'm here because my grandparents are here, and I want to be close to them and see them all the time. But at the same time, like, it is a little just frightening not to see more kids.
Yeah.
Everybody knows who's watching. There's not an easy answer to housing. I get it. No. We live in paradise. We live in the highest rent place on the planet, pretty much. You know, and so. Yeah. But is the future? We need more housing, but it's not more high-end housing, is it? It's got to be more entry-level.
Housing of all types, right? I mean, it's like we need the tiny homes, we need the ADUs, we need just more single-family homes. We need to chop up single-family homes into multiple units, right? We need to build larger apartment buildings. We need some of those apartment buildings to have single-room occupancy, where you can just rent or own a room and share a kitchen.
Is it beds? What's the state asking for? Is they asking for beds, or are they asking for houses?
They ask for a unit, which is complete.
3 beds or something. 2 beds.
Even 1 bedroom, a kitchen, and a
pretty big company out there on Highway 17 with a sign out there that says "Sorry, we're full."
But it seems like the answer to me is we need ADUs.
I mean, that's definitely a piece of it.
Yeah, because the problem, I mean, as a business owner, my employees can't afford to live here.
Let me ask you a question. You've just been robbed.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we just got robbed. Yeah.
You want to put an ADU in the back of your to the guy that wears the black hoodie sweatshirt?
Well, I'm not. That's the stereotype of the black hoodie sweatshirt. I'm not going to buy that one, Neil. You're not going to fool me with that one, bro. But I do need people that need to. This town needs $20 an hour people, and anyone watching knows you have to make about $45 an hour to survive in this town. It's not reality for the businesses that are here, and for entry level employees. And first question I ask my employees: do you live with your mom and dad? Yeah. Honestly, when I interview somebody, I ask them. And I have to. Right. Because if they're like, oh, no, I rent a 3-bedroom place on East Cliff, I'm like, well, listen.
That's going away soon.
Yeah. And so the ADUs, I think that it should be like free for people to build ADUs.
Yeah. We actually made it free up to 750 square feet.
Oh,
so as far as permits go.
Right, yeah.
Right, and then also that was the idea with the tiny homes is that you could build those for a lot cheaper and just kind of drop them in. Right, you just build a pad basically with utilities connection.
Did people do it?
We've got some people doing it. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think I know a lot of people that have. Not everyone's pulled permits, but nevertheless, we've created a legal pathway for people.
And is that an easy? I mean, I was saying earlier that I'm remodeling my kitchen. Over-the-counter permit. Is that an over-the-counter permit to do an ADU, or is it a little more intensive than that?
It's pretty straightforward. I mean, I don't know if you can go down and get it same day.
Right.
But we're getting close. I mean, first of all, like I said, the fees waived up to 750 square feet. By the end of the year, we're going to have the pre-approved plans for like a few models to be able to come in and say, yeah, I want that one. And then that really should be pretty much same day. Like, yeah, okay, great, go for it. We would probably have to do a site inspection.
No, for sure.
But,
and they'll come out and check wiring and plumbing. I know how that works. But so people who are watching, there's a chance that you can put one of those in your backyard.
Yeah, go for it.
And create. Well, and some of them I've under the radar when I was younger had divided my house into a couple little studios, you know. But
clever.
I have some longtime friends who I've met from being tenants in my house that to this day I cherish, and that's the beauty of sharing your property is that you do make some amazing connections with people. So. I look forward to the growth in that. That can help with the state's demand, right?
For sure.
Do you have a gun to your head to create housing, find housing right now?
We do. I mean, we just submitted our housing element to the state, right? And that was basically a state requirement that we plan for 4,634 new units within the next 8 years. And then we even had to have like a 10% buffer on top of that.
4,000.
4,634. Basically 5,000 by the time we planned for like a buffer that some of those were.
I just heard a guy on the couch who just said, where's the water coming from?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's actually falling from the sky right now.
It is. It's raining like crazy.
We're just not catching enough of it. I feel pretty good about the water, to be honest. Like, first of all, residential homes don't use as much water as you think. I mean, most of the water is getting sucked out by agriculture in our county.
For sure.
And then especially like a new apartment building, like multifamily uses way less water than single family. There's no yard, there's no gardens. And then, as I said, water falling from the sky. I mean, I think there's something down in like Heart of SoCal Park that says a standard roof can collect like 1,000 gallons of water with 1 inch of rain.
The rest of the world does that. You know? We just don't.
Yeah. And so here's the crazy thing. Like with these new apartment buildings, we require them to build like stormwater detention basins so that like all the water doesn't like flood out onto the street, right? But then they just slowly release that. So we could, with just a little more incentive, we could make it so that water is actually caught, treated, and at least used in your toilet. For sure. Or your washing machine, non-potable
water.
Yeah. So that's something we haven't even tapped, is like the dual plumbing within apartments. It's like 40% of indoor use is non-potable. It's the laundry and it's the toilets. So dual plumbing, you save 40%, I mean, it costs more, but save 40% of indoor water use. But there is some good stuff just happening no matter what right now, right? So this goes back to where we started with the construction on the streets. Basically about a year ago, what's the first project you saw, especially along SoCal Drive and like on Broadway a little bit, it was all the water pipe going in to take the secondary treated water from Neary Lagoon in Santa Cruz, that's our big wastewater treatment plant in North County, and to pipe it over to Chanticleer, right, where by the Sheriff's Center, and there it's going to get treated to even higher standards, tertiary treatment, which itself is like 4 different steps. And then from there, that water will get put into our aquifer.
And that's what's going on in Portola, too,
no,
right?
Chanticleer.
Portola.
Portola.
Portola is a sewer pipe that is
that
like super old. We've had a bunch of emergency repairs on it, and finally, like, we got to replace this thing.
I heard it was sand, and they had to put like cement pillars. And
Well,
Exactly.
the thing moved.
Yeah.
So you have to drill cement thing every 2 feet. Our friend has a
Newman,
restaurant
yeah.
there.
It wasn't where it said it was on the plan, so we're
Yeah.
like, oh shoot, where'd this pipe go?
Right.
And it's been a little bit more involved, and it looks like we're building a subway.
It does look like we're building.
But we do expect to finish by the end of the year, and then we're starting the resurfacing. We're going to put the street back real nice, like it's going to look like a brand new street.
Awesome.
Cool.
I tell you, every time I turn down Portola, I'm like,
Yeah.
curses! I didn't take Bromer.
Yeah, I know.
I do it every time.
Yeah.
Thanks, Manu.
Manu, thanks for
Oh,
coming
good.
by.
All right.
Okay,
All
so
right,
hold
yeah.
it. We have a big election coming up.
Big.
Your slogan is "Promises made, promises kept."
Right.
Are we
right.
going with it? Are we breaking news right now?
Sure.
You heard it right here first, folks. And then social media. Yeah, I know it's
At
first.
Manu for Supervisor for my
Yeah.
campaign stuff, and then at First Soup SCC for all my office stuff. And if you want to get regular updates about what's going on in the county, you can subscribe to my newsletter. Just search First District Supervisor Santa Cruz, and there'll be a link to sign up for the newsletter. And I just share what's going on upcoming Board of Supervisors agendas. I mean, we didn't even touch about this. We were talking about cannabis yesterday at the farm tours and stuff.
Well, and cannabis is I feel bad. Like the guy I just saw in the paper today. The guy first off, he was shooting an assault rifle, so I do he went a little overboard on that. But these cannabis guys do need some rights. I feel like, and some support from the federal government as well. That's a different story, folks.
Another day.
Congrats to being here 3 years.
Thanks.
I know your job can suck, and I know that not everybody's happy, but we need somebody to do your job.
Yeah.
So all I can say
Happy
is,
to do it.
yeah, thanks for taking
And
the
we're
helm.
and doing it again, wanting to do it again, continuing.
Yeah.
Well, government does move slowly, and so there's a lot of stuff that's really in progress right now that I need a chance. That I would love a chance to fix
When you first
and finish.
When you first were vying to with Leopold, were you in fifth gear, and now do you feel like you're in first gear with the handbrake on?
Oh, you mean
Is it a lot slower?
How fast I was moving? I feel like, the thing is because
Sir, we're closed.
because things
Closed?
move
Yeah.
slowly. You
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, what time are you guys?
We're doing a radio show. We'll be here at 11 o'clock tomorrow.
What
Yeah.
time do you close in the
6.
6?
Yeah, thanks a lot, bro.
I'm sorry.
Have a good night, no problem.
I'll help I can make it on time. All right, thank you.
Vote for Manu, though.
We're far away.
All right, we got to vote.
Vote for Manu.
Vote for Manu.
So I feel like I'm kind of like pushing a lot of stuff forward slowly, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because it's all going to move slowly no matter what. So I just try to move as much as possible. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, got push this, kind of doing this all the time.
And you're learning as you go. It's like
I feel like at this point I kind of know. I took like 2.5 years, but at this point I really know the job. I feel pretty good at that.
But your philosophies aren't like set in concrete. You're going with as you become more. You learn and it changes.
Yeah. There's no bad place to find a good idea.
I love that. Neil, 886. Are we going to call that tonight?
Next week, John Feltz from Cruise Foam.
Cruise Foam. By the way, I possibly could be the biggest business to come out of Santa Cruz. We were
They're going
told.
to change the world, those guys.
Yeah, it's something. Another again, possibly could change the world.
That's what he
It's
said.
crazy. We're gonna learn more next week right here.
Yeah.
Manu, thank you so much.
Thanks, TC.
Yeah,
Pleasure.
good to have you here.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Manu.
Thanks, Neil.
You're welcome.
First supervisor right here in our own Santa Cruz, folks, and
He's getting socks.
he gets a pair of socks.
Oh,
Cindy
yeah.
from Merge 4, thanks for that.
Thank you, Cindy.
I got a kind of business kind, like where I work.
Next week, the big CEO from Cruise Foam is on the show. Yeah, big stuff. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. T-Fox, Santa Cruz Waves, appreciate you. Neil, guess what?
What?
I'll see you later.
Hey, buddy.